and just explain pretty quick everything from the past lecture. So I will not talk about this top part of the screen because it's really familiar with any soft which you already use it. I will talk about the tools. Basically, what we need to know. The first thing is that this is our viewport screen. It's split it into 4 screens right now, and to work with your screen on the full screen to do everything much more easier, you just need to select it by clicking, and then here in the right bottom corner there is a button, maximize viewport toggle. So you just press here and now we can start to work. So this is the first thing what we need to do before we start to work. The second thing is just to check our unit setup and change it if it's not the same as we have. To check it, we will go here into customize, and here in customize we have a unit setup button here. So in the unit setup, please make sure that we will have a metric system selected with the centimeters. Yeah. After that, we'll go to the create toolbar, which is place it in the right top angle of the screen. Yeah, so here corner of the screen you can see this plus icon, and here should be this cycle selected. If the cycle is selected, we can create simple geometric primitives. And from the last lecture we talk about the box. Yeah, sorry, somebody forgot to turn off the microphone. Yeah. From the last lecture we talked about the box, how to work with that. So basically what we need to do is to create a box. To work with the creation toolbar, you just need to work with your mouse. So basically the left click and hold your mouse will give a chance you to expand the square, which should be like a floor for your box. And if you unpress the left mouse button, it will expand on top of the screen. So you can see that now you can adjust the height of your object by just dragging mouse without clicking anything, and by clicking again left mouse button you just stop that option and you just have your box. So another thing I will talk about viewport movements. Yeah, to move your viewport without a moving object, you just need to use your middle mouse button. So if you don't have a middle mouse button, actually it's really hard to work with 3ds Max. That means that you need to find a mouse with the 3 buttons here to work with 3ds Max. So by the clicking on the middle mouse button, you can just drag your viewport, and by holding Alt on your keyboard and click and drag middle mouse button, you can rotate your viewport with the model without rotating model on the scene. So this is the most important thing about the viewport. You always need to find the time to just understand how everything actually could be turned in the most good position to work with. So the last thing what we talked about last lecture was modify toolbar here. So basically, after you create something in creation mode, we always need to go to the modifier, to the modify toolbar here. You can see that we have a box. We can move box, rotate or scale it by using these toolbars. I also explained this last time. This is the most common toolbars which should be used for modeling and for movements of your model. So if our objects is selected, we can move it by using this pivot point here. Yeah, and remember to use a pivot point. Just you need to understand that these arrows give you a chance to move it exactly straightly to the X, Y and Z axis. So basically, if you will just try to move your object by just aiming your mouse on the center, you can see that there is a yellow square in the center. If this yellow square has selected, you also can move your object, but you don't know where you place it in the space. So basically, if I will move it over here and I will try to rotate my viewport, you can see that I already have a flying box here. Yeah. So if you will lose your box somewhere in the screen and you can find it, you just need to press Z to just have a chance to come back it to your screen. Yeah. And yeah, after you create everything and after you place your object into 0 position of all the axes, so you can see these small squares here on the bottom part of the screen is actually the position of your object. You can just put your object in the 0 position of the world. Actually, this is the 0. The center of that grid actually is the 0. And now when we place our object in the 0 position, we need to convert it into poly, because this is really important part to have a chance to model it much more gently, to have able to work with verticals, edges and polygons. So when we convert that box into editable poly, you can see that there is a new options available. So the first option is selection mode. So by selection of the verticals, we can work with verticals and do some stuff with the verticals. And the same thing with the edges, borders, polygons. So yeah, from the last lecture we just talked about selection mostly of the verticals and everything, and how actually these toolbars works. But today I will just go a little bit more deep into the work with the polygons. So basically, when we work with the polygons, most common tools for me is that edit polygons tools. So basically, what we could do here, the first thing I can show you how I actually can just make a hole here, something like a window, for example, in that box. Yeah. So basically, I need to just to turn on your wireframe, you can just press F4, and you always can select a different type of view of your viewport here but I prefer just to use F3 and F4. And let's just take care, make sure that we select the default shading here, and yeah, let's just press F4 to see our wireframe. Yeah. So when you select your polygon, for example, and press here to the inset button, you can see that when we move our mouse to the polygon, we found that some interesting cursor will appear it with the black box. If we will just click left mouse button and drag, you can see that we just insert a new polygon in the middle of our polygon. So by dragging our mouse button, we can just have a new polygon inside here. And if we have a new polygon here, you can see that it's connected with the edges around. So for the 3D models, it's really important to connect everything minimum with the 4 verticals. If we will have more than 4 verticals, this wireframe could read wrongly in the engine, and before we export everything into the engine, we always need to have to check everything to have everywhere not more than 4 verticals in our polygons. And yeah, after we insert our polygon, we can extrude it. So by using this extrude method here, we also can see that a new cursor will appear when we just drag our mouse on the polygon. And if we will just click left mouse button, hold it and drag, you can see that we can adjust our size of the extrusion. So basically, if we will extrude it inside, it will look like it's something like a window inside the wall. And also there is another method to do that. You always can use that small square icon here to adjust extrusion a little bit more gently, like this. Yeah, you can see here, you can just see how much centimeters you will go through that polygon, inside or outside. So basically extrusion work that way. Yeah, and yeah, for the polygons, actually these two tools is most useful for me to inset something and extrude. For example, now you can again make an inset, now you can extrude and have something like a frame of your window, for example. Yeah, it's pretty simple to do that, but you need to understand the forms before you start to model that kind of object. So let's stop that recording right now.